Yes, expectations are important in certain areas of life. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're not. Expectations are vital. Walking into a business meeting, right? Certain expectations of a manager, right? Certain expectations of even a parent or a sibling, let's say. Yes, expectations are important for sure. However, in a lot of things, my expectations are here. When it comes to dealing with certain people or certain environments or whatever it might be, yes, they're down here. Because who am I to expect something out of you when you have no idea what's going on in my mind? You have no idea what my expectation is. I've never even shared my expectation with you. How can I expect you to live up to it? What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Success Spectrum Podcast. I'm your host, Kadeem McLean. And first and foremost, I want to say thank you. One of my previous episodes, got over 500 views and about 15 or more likes. So I want to first of all say thank you for stopping by, listening to the content, liking, subscribing, and sharing it out with others. Because, of course, we're aiming for more, but that alone is, let's call it a big feat, right? I'm happy to say thank you for that. Because it wouldn't have happened without you stopping by, listening, sharing, liking, and those of you who've been coming back consistently, thank you very much. Because of course the goal is to share this with as many people as possible, right? And share whatever information I might have with you to help you become the next best version of you and to evolve, right? So that's what it is. To get into today's episode, I want to first talk about movie trailers. I'm the type of person who does not like watching movie trailers or trailers for shows, or I don't like it. People would tell me or send me trailers and I'm just like, okay, cool. I didn't know this movie was coming out. The reason I don't like it is because I feel like the best parts of the movie are in the trailer. So if I watch this movie trailer, it's going to ruin the movie for me. I'm very good at predicting what happens in movies. I'm not perfect, but I'm pretty darn good at it. I can see certain things towards the beginning of the movie and pretty much conclude what's going to happen towards the end. And that's one of the big things for me with watching movies is, though I don't watch them as often as I used to, I challenge myself and I see throughout the movie if what I thought was correct. Oftentimes it ends up being correct. There's a few movies that kind of throw me off and I thought completely wrong, but the majority of them, I get it. Now, the reason why it bothers me watching them is because, again, when I watch it, I feel like I already ruined the movie for myself because I can see what's going to happen, right? I can kind of predict it, let's say. Transformers 2 it was. I don't remember what year it came out, but Transformers 2. When Transformers 1 came out, it was a big thing because there was the first real Transformers movie at the time, and it was great, right? Myself and my friends, we went to watch it. We loved it. We enjoyed it. Number 2 was coming out, and they were all hyped up. They were watching the trailers and so on. I'm like, nope, I'm not watching any trailers. I didn't watch the trailer. I thoroughly enjoyed the movie at the time when it came out. Some of my friends, right, my family, my brothers, let's call them, did not like it, and they watched the trailers, but they loved the first one just as much as I did. And I was like, interesting, huh? But anyhow, I do not like watching movie trailers because it raises my expectations of the movie. I walked into that movie, Transformers 2, with no expectations because I didn't watch the trailer. I didn't think it was going to try to be as good as the first one. There's no expectations. But my friends, they had high expectations because the first one was so great, and they watched the trailers, which hyped them up to watch the movie. They had their expectations raised. And for me, managing expectations is so important. One of my friends asks me all the time, Kadeem, how do you maintain composure and stay so calm even when people do you wrong? And honestly, I don't really necessarily see it as people doing me wrong. Expectations is the simple answer, but I'll give you a bit more of a long-winded answer. I control my expectations. I control my vantage point and therefore my perspective, because I believe perspective is everything, right? They say beauty's in the eye of the beholder. The way you see something is, I'm going to see it differently. You might see blue, or rather I might see blue because I'm terrible with colors, but you might see, aqua or light blue or sky blue or whatever it is. But at the same time, the fact is it's blue. It's just what shade of blue, what color, what shade of blue. I don't know exactly. But point is, you see things differently than I do. You might look at a flower and think, oh my gosh, that's such a beautiful flower. I might look at it and say, it's all right, right? Because we have different vantage points, if you will, different perspectives. I remember reading 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I believe it's Stephen Covey, I believe. And it talks about that, right? The glass in which you see the world, perspective, it's everything. Because if you see things a certain way, doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to see them the same way, right? For example, if somebody comes by and they scuff my shoe and they don't realize it, they're walking, I have no idea. I know they scuffed my shoe, but they don't say anything. They don't look back. They don't apologize. They just keep walking. I can get offended and I can be like, what's going on? Why'd you scuff my shoe? And talk in a aggressive manner. Meanwhile, that person might not even have realized that they scuffed my shoe because they're so focused on what just happened to them yesterday, or they're so focused on a family member who just ended up in the hospital, God forbid. They're so focused on somebody who just passed away, whatever issues they're dealing with, right? We all live in our own worlds. We're all in our own heads, right? We all have our personal anecdotes, and we're all going through our own go-through. We're all living a different life, but we are all here, let's say, on this earth together. And when certain things happen, I feel like there's a clash in that. You're living your own life in your own world. I'm living my life in my own world. And when I have certain expectations of people, those can clash. And that's where we get into, issues or an aggressive tone or manner, right? Because just because somebody scuffed my shoe, for me, doesn't mean I'm going to lash out and get aggressive and what's the point? I'm showing that person that they have a level of control over me. Because let me tie it back in. First of all, control the controllables. I do not control what this person is going through or what this person does, right? Scuffing the shoe, that's one example. If somebody doesn't hold the door for me and they see me coming behind them, or at least it looks like from my perspective, because again, perspective is everything, that they see me coming and they don't hold the door for me, I can get upset. I can get annoyed. I can say they're rude. They have no manners. I can say whatever I want to say. But first of all, wherever they might be from, let's say they're from another country, maybe that's not something they do, right? Maybe it's not commonplace. That doesn't make them worse or better. Doesn't make me worse or better. It's just not something they do. They might not even have realized I'm behind them because, again, they're stuck in their own world, right? They might be stuck on whatever business deal that went sour. They might, God forbid, they might be contemplating suicide. God forbid. And I don't mean to get morbid, but that's how deep it can go. They're living their own story in their own head. And you now are going to get annoyed and act a certain way towards that person because they didn't hold the door for you. They didn't meet your expectations. So now you're going to get aggressive. Now you're going to get annoyed, and you are no longer going to necessarily respect that person. To me, I have a big gripe with that, because who are you to have such expectations of people and hold them to that? And when they don't meet your expectations, then you got a problem with them. And now, a word from our sponsor. If you want to learn to amass your wealth in stocks, bonds, real estate, in commodities, if you want to learn how to protect your wealth or transfer generationally down the line in the way that you want it to be transferred, this book right here is a must read for you. The Legacy of a Silver Spoon: Managing Wealth and Relationships by Al Compton. You must get yourself a copy because you need it. If you want to do anything that I just mentioned, without reading this book, you're not going to be able to do it in the way that you want to get it done. You might not even know that there's different types of trust or which type of trust you need. This book will help you in determining that. You might not even know what a stock is or what a bond is. This book will teach you every piece of information you need to know financially to get you from where you are to where you want to be. Go ahead and click that link in the description to get yourself a copy. In my eyes, the only real expectation I have of people is to, let's say to treat me with the level of respect. And I wouldn't even say that, to be honest with you. Treat me with the level of respect is what I was going to say. But at the end of the day, those who I love and care about, or who love me and care about me, or at least show that they do, project that they do, yeah, I expect respect out of you, right? I definitely expect respect. But you might be going through something and then there's a level of disrespect that comes off. But I'll understand that, and maybe I'll leave it alone because I'll understand what you're going through. So even in that case, my expectations, it's just my expectations. It has nothing to do with the people outside of me. But if it's a stranger who, let's say again, just walks by, I don't necessarily expect anything out of you. Some people get upset when somebody doesn't say hi. Really? Off of somebody not saying hi? To me, again, it's crazy. I get it. I really do understand. I get it. But why are you going to let that other person affect your day? They're a stranger walking by. At the end of the day, it's all because you expect certain things out of them. But again, who are you to expect something from others and expect them to stick to that standard? Strangers, I mean. And if they don't, you got a problem with them. Why let that affect you? Why let them control you like that? Why let them control your emotions? That, to me, would affect your well-being. Because I know people where certain things happen. Somebody said something to them, and a week later, 2 weeks later, they're still on that same thing that the person said. Meanwhile, they don't even know if the person really meant it in the way that they perceived it, because they didn't approach the person to say, hey, you said this the other day. Can you tell me exactly what you meant by that? They explain it. Oh, because this is how I took it. No, I didn't mean it that way. Now we had a communication, right? We had communication. We understand. Or again, if it's somebody who isn't necessarily that close, you might say, okay, cool. And continue walking. Go about your day. Don't worry about it. So again, going back to my friend's question, how do I remain so, let's say, calm and just it is what it is? Because literally, as cliche as it sounds, it is what it is. What can I do about it? I control the controllables. I don't control other people. I control myself, my preparation, and my reactions. That's what I control. So I'm not going to let other people affect me. I have a certain goal. I have a certain mission. I have things in my mind that I'm focused on. I will stop to make sure the people around me, whether I'm passing them on the street or whatever the case is, to make sure they're all right. But I got a mission. I know they have their own mission. So if we happen to cross paths and they don't hold the door for me, or I do hold the door for them and they don't say thank you, in the past, I'd be like, you're welcome, immaturity. But now it's I held the door for you. I did my part. Whether you say something or you don't say something, that's up to you. I did my part. Not everybody won't say anything, of course. I've had some women say, oh my gosh, your mother raised such a gentleman, and so on. Thank you. I really appreciate that. You don't have to say anything. I don't expect you to say anything. When you do, I appreciate it, but I don't need that. So when you don't say anything, cool. That's what I expect. I lower my expectations the same way I did when I walked into that movie theater. I had no expectations really. And I enjoyed the movie. My friends had high expectations. They did not enjoy the movie because they watched the trailers. They were hyped up. They were talking about it. I'm like, listen, I don't want to be a part of it. I don't want to hear what's going on in the movie or in the trailers, because I want this to be a no expectations, walk into a brand new experience. Therefore I can enjoy it more. And that's just me. I might be extreme. I don't know. You can call it what you want to call it, but I don't watch movie trailers for that reason. Right? Now, again, perspective is everything. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, and you control the controllables. There's things in life you can control. There's things in life you cannot control. Your goal, your aim should be to control what you can control. The rest, let go of it. You can't do anything about it. It'll do nothing but upset you. It'll do nothing but rock your emotions and take you out of position because you're going to let it bother you. Here's again, I kind of alluded to this one earlier, but you never know what somebody is going through. You have no idea what somebody is going through, what thoughts are going through their mind, the things they just experienced yesterday, what they've experienced in the past. You have no idea. Everybody acts a certain way because of things that have happened or things they've experienced or have seen. Everybody. So they're acting a certain way because they've seen certain things, they've experienced certain things. And my whole thing is, I'm not God, first and foremost. So I don't know what's going on in everybody's lives. I don't know what's going on in their heads. I don't know what their experience is. I know what my experience is, and I know how I act based on my experiences. But that doesn't mean I should try to hold somebody else to the standards that I set for myself. That doesn't mean I should expect even those intimate and close to me to operate with a certain standard that I set for myself. That's just how I see it. Yes, expectations are important in certain areas of life. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they're not. Expectations are vital. Walking into a business meeting, right? Certain expectations of a manager, right? Certain expectations of even a parent or a sibling, let's say. Yes, expectations are important for sure. However, in a lot of things, my expectations are here. When it comes to dealing with certain people or certain environments or whatever it might be, yes, they're down here. Because who am I to expect something out of you when you have no idea what's going on in my mind? You have no idea what my expectation is. I've never even shared my expectation with you. How can I expect you to live up to it? That doesn't make any sense. It's like I think the world revolves around me. So for me to get upset when somebody doesn't hold the door for me, or when I hold the door for somebody, they don't say thank you, or when somebody scuffs my shoe or brushes me on the street, why do I think the world revolves around me? That's how I see it. If I'm getting upset, it's either I'm dealing with my own issues and something triggered it, or I think the world revolves around me, right? And both, I think, are kind of go in tandem, right? But a little bit more understandable if you're going through something, because we have emotions, we're human, understandable. But the world does not revolve around you. Newsflash. So manage your expectations, control the controllables, and understand that everybody's going through their own go-through. Whatever you're going through, somebody else is going through something difficult as well. I'm not saying to measure and see which one's more difficult, to see who has it worse or anything along those lines. I just think if I put your shoes on, I'm going to notice struggles, right? If I go back to when you were born, I put your shoes on and I walk through your life, whatever struggles you have faced or are currently facing, it's going to be a struggle. If you did the same with me, you put my shoes on, you're going to know that it's a struggle. That's it. I'm not saying more, less, or anything along those lines. It's a struggle, because in your life, it's a struggle based on the things you've experienced. In my life, it's a struggle. We all might place our own struggles to a high degree, whatever the case is. But again, I'm not trying to measure. You're going through something. I'm going to do my best to be sympathetic or empathetic towards that, because I don't know what you're going through. And you're human. I'm a human. In my mind, it's like a utopia. It would be great if we could all just treat each other with that respect, love, and kindness. So I do my part, is all I'm saying, right? So I manage my expectations. I know that the world does not revolve around me, right? And going back to the movies, as simple as not watching trailers to manage my expectations, I do what I can. I do my part, right? And again, I stay focused on my mission and my goal, or my goals. I know what my mission is. I know what I've got to do. I know what I'm here for. I'm not here in this room or environment right now, let's say, as an example, to, let's say, make friends, or rather to be friends with every single person in there. If that could happen, great. But if somebody scuffs my shoe or brushes me or whatever the case is, I'm not going to get upset. I'm not there to start wars or start a fight. You brush my shoe? Shoot. Okay. It might annoy me a little bit, whatever the case. But I'm not going to get frustrated. I'm not going to, oh my gosh, this person really brushed me. Who do they think they are? Unnecessary. Completely unnecessary. So again, manage your expectations, control the controllables, and ultimately focus on what you have to get done. Focus on your mission, because the more you focus on what this person did or didn't do, it takes you off track. Your eyes are no longer on the prize. Your eyes are no longer on the prize. Keep your eyes on the prize. Keep moving. Show love and kindness to those around you, absolutely. But know that everybody's walking their own path. All right. Just something that was on my shoulders. Had to get it off. Hopefully this was helpful for you. Kadeem here. Thank you for stopping by the Success Spectrum podcast, and I'll see you on the next one.